Another hill, 20 miles an hour, still climbing. This is by far the fastest and most powerful e-bike I've ever ridden, and it has a feature that I haven't seen on any other e-bike. You're not going to want to miss out on this one. Disclaimer, this e-bike is not for inexperienced riders or for those who don't enjoy excitement. This e-bike is for individuals who want adrenaline and adventure at their fingertips. This is by far the most powerful e-bike I reviewed, and let's just say it's even better than you might think. This is what happens when you combine an e-bike with a motorcycle, and just wait until you see and hear what this dual motor monster can do. This unique e-bike is known as the Eahora Romeo Pro 2, and my plan is to share with you all the specs and features that this thing offers, but also show you how it performs, including a hill climbing test and top speed runs. But first things first, let's take a look at how incredibly cool this thing is. Before we cover all the specs and features, let's do a top speed test and hill climb test. Now, in order to achieve the highest speed possible, there's only one thing we got to do, and that is put it into boost mode. And that is when both wheels are red, just like that. It doesn't matter which pedal assist you're on, because we're only doing throttle only. So this is top speed, boost mode, throttle only. Here we go. Wow, was that a rush? Hopefully it came through on camera. I approached nearly 43 miles an hour. Now this road is mostly flat. There are a couple little dips and hills and some turns, but it's mostly flat. Now top speed will depend on the rider's size and terrain that they're riding on. I have achieved 44 miles an hour before. We hit nearly 43 today, but that is fast enough for me. But this bike could definitely top 40 miles an hour without a doubt. You may be asking, how does this bike do on hills and hill climbing? Well, we're going to demonstrate that for you right now. Ahead of me, which is not going to come through very good on a wide angle camera, is a long double set of hills. We got the first hill, it plateaus a little bit, and then a second hill. It climbs in pretty steep elevation. And from my experience, most other bikes I have reviewed, in order to climb anything close to this, require a lot of speed and momentum to even have a chance of climbing hills like this. The longer they are, the harder it is for an e-bike. But with this bike being dual motor, putting it in boost mode, we're going to climb it on throttle only at the base of the hill, which means I'm not going to have much room to get any speed or momentum. It's going to be pure motor power. As soon as this car clears by, we're going to do it. Here we go. We're at 16, 17 miles an hour. Back to 16, maintaining. 15. A little plateau. And then the second hill up here. We're gaining speed, 18, 19 miles an hour. Hill, plateau. Another hill, 20 miles an hour. Still climbing. We're at 19, 20 miles an hour. Still climbing a hill. 21 miles an hour. And we reached the top. Needless to say, climbing hills like this is not a problem for the Eahora Romeo Pro 2. We know this bike looks pretty awesome. We know it's a fast bike. We know it's powerful for hill climbing, but what are the specs and features? Well, let's go over those right now. I do have them on my phone here, so I could list them all off to you. Starting off, that this is a Class 3 e-bike. Powering this bike is a large 52 volt, 60 amp hour battery that is removable. It powers dual 1500 watt motors, both front and rear motors, so it's all-wheel drive. So you have a combination of 3000 watts of power. Has a top speed of over 40 miles an hour, which we already did confirm. Now for distance, this can go up to 70 miles in range on throttle only. On pedal assist, it can reach up to 105 miles in range. This does weigh a hefty 150 pounds. It's the heaviest e-bike I've ever reviewed. It does have a capacity of 330 pounds. This does have full suspension, both front and rear suspension, and stopping power is hydraulic disc brakes. This does ride on 26 by 4-inch fat tires, and there's actually a few other things I do want to show you, so come on over, let's take a closer look at it. Starting off with the handlebars, we do have rubber grips here. Right there is your electronic horn button, which I will demonstrate in just a minute. And this actually only has a 3-button control module. So to turn it on, you long press the power button. It does power on there. Full color display. Your full color display does tell you your battery percentage up on top, the speed you're going, as well as motor output that does light up right there. You do have your odometer, tripometer, pedal assist, and your average speed. Now if you look right above the trip, there's a little bike icon, and the rear wheel is highlighted orange, which means right now the rear motor has power going to it. Now to switch between the motors, all it is a quick simple press of the power button. Press it again. Now the front wheel motor is engaged with power. Another press, both motors are engaged, highlighted in orange, but if you press it one more time, it turns to red. That is boost mode. That is unlocking and unleashing all the power this bike has to offer, which will not only allow you to get to the higher speeds of over 40 miles an hour, but will allow you to climb some really steep hills as well. With the power down, here's how the horn sounds. And one thing I'm really happy to see is beneath the display, USB-C port. So you could charge devices with a USB-C cord right there. On the right-hand side is our 7-speed Shimano gear system, and this does have a full twist throttle. This also does have air-filled shocks, and you can adjust the compression for either a stiffer or softer ride. Now, if you do wish to charge a battery while it's in the bike, your charging port is right here behind this flap. It's right there. But the battery can be removed, obviously, with the provided keys to unlock the battery and take it out of its holster. Nestled between the air shocks is your big bright headlight for nighttime riding. And coming to the back of the bike, beneath the rack, is your tail light / brake light. The features of the Eahora Romeo Pro 2 are certainly impressive, but how fun is it to ride? Let's find out. All right, let's use this bike for what's intended for: adventure and adrenaline. We have this big mining wasteland as our playground, so let's use it to its fullest capacity. Start off with a pretty steep hill climb here. Right up it. No problem. Maybe you're thinking, oh, that hill wasn't too bad. Why don't you try a steeper hill? Well, you read my mind, because I have one just behind me here. Let's climb this sucker right now. Boost mode activated. Made it to the top with no pedaling, just a little bit of spinach of the tire. This thing is a beast. Coming down a long steep hill like that, hydraulic disc brakes do a pretty good job of holding you back. Well, we got a pretty smooth level area here. Let's go to one end of it. We'll kick it up into dual motor and get a higher speed run. I'm just in dual motor and not boost mode. Throttle only, so we're gonna get it up to speed here. Accelerates pretty quick. .30 miles an hour. 33. That is fast and fun on terrain like this. Now, if you don't want to go all out and go crazy and do what I'm doing, you can obviously just keep it in single motor mode, rear motor, and you can go a nice, slow, leisurely pace. You can also pedal like a traditional bike. So this is a very versatile bike. And as far as seating position, it is a cross between upright and aggressive seating, where I'm slightly hunched over, like a mountain bike position, but not as far. So it's kind of a hybrid in between upright and bent over, if that makes sense. It's not a bad position. I don't like really leaning forward positions, and this is not that aggressive of a lean, so it's actually a fairly comfortable position. I love that I can switch between single and dual motor while I'm driving with a single press of a button. Instantaneous. Got a nice, another playground section here. Let's do some of these up and down hills. Go down one. And up the next one. And let's see if we can keep it going here. It's a steep hill. Wow, that was a big hill. I did not think it was going to make that, and it did. Without even pedaling. Just to show you where I came from. Holy crap. That surprised even me. This whole area is like ideal for a bike like this. This thing can handle almost anything you throw at it. It's remarkably powerful, but also controllable. As awesome as this bike is, there are some pros and cons I want to share with you. But before we do that, check out this awesome video montage. Man, this thing is so much fun. I haven't had this much fun on an e-bike in a long time. I'm not even sure if it's even this much fun. This thing, I'm just smiling the entire time. I can't explain it. Just pick a random hill here and climb it. Not even getting a start. Like nothing. And we got a little kick turn here. Get up the bank of it. Oh, nice. What are my pros and cons? As awesome and impressive as this bike is, there are a couple cons I have come up with after riding this for a few times. Starting off with the seat. I didn't mention the seat earlier during specs and features. I wanted to save it for now. The seat I'm calling a saddle. It's a nice long seat. It's actually thick and plush. It's a really comfortable seat. The problem I have with it though is the same thing you would find on a motorcycle, where it's a fixed seat position. You can't raise or lower the seat. You obviously can't do that on a motorcycle, but a lot of motorcycles are up higher, or you have forward controls to stretch your legs out. The problem I find with this is me being a person my size, 5'11", I'm not extremely tall. I'd say average height. But after about 30 minutes of riding, when I have my feet on the pedals in that orientation, my knees are bent back, I do feel my knees and my legs getting a little bit stiff where I have to stretch them out. So for a longer distance ride, I'd be forced to kind of take a break, stand up, stretch the legs out. But aside from that though, it is a really comfortable seat. If I was to give it a rating, the seat comfort, I'll give a 4.5 out of 5. But it's not a 5 just because you can't control the seat height. Now, the other negative thing, and this is me just really nitpicking, I think this would do even better with more aggressive tires. It does come with decent tires. They are a bit better than your basic standard fat tire grip. But if you get a more aggressive tire, you'd be able to do a whole lot more, including climb steeper hills, some looser terrain. It would have more bite, more dig on stuff like that. But for what this does come with, it is capable and it is pretty impressive. We climb some pretty steep, loose hills. But if I was to have this bike for myself and you want to do some really more hardcore off-roading with this, I highly recommend getting more aggressive tires. They are out there in the market. They're not super expensive, but I think it would be a good pair with this bike. With that out of the way, for the good, well, it's an ultra powerful bike. Although I have reviewed dual motor e-bikes before, none that has the power that this puts out. It is really close to a motorcycle as far as acceleration, power, speed. This is probably the closest thing you could get to a motorcycle without having to get a motorcycle. And the plus side with this is that you could take this anywhere. You could drive it on the road, you could drive it on trails, you could drive it on rail trails, you could take it to work. You don't need a license for it, and you could pedal it if you want to. So it's a great hybrid between a bike and a motorcycle. And it's also quiet. It doesn't draw any attention, but you can have a blast on it. It's so much fun to ride. Lastly, this checks nearly all the boxes for me on features I want on an e-bike. Namely, it has the USB charging port. Although it's a USB-C, it still is a charging port. It has the brake light, tail light. It has full suspension. It has the horn. It has a bright headlight. It nearly checks every box that I want on an e-bike. If you want to get more information or the latest pricing on the Eahora Romeo Pro 2, there will be a link provided down below in the description. And I also want to give a special thanks to Eahora for reaching out to me and allowing me the awesome opportunity of reviewing one of the baddest, most powerful, and incredibly fun e-bikes I've ever had the chance to review. It definitely put a smile on my face the entire time I was riding it, and I can't wait to ride it some more. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, safe riding, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.